if you are in a high-rise building. Because if it's a 7-story building, you can probably climb your stairs if the lifts are not working. How will you climb a 40-story building stairs? That is not practical at all. So this is going to hit you. It has already hit all the high-rise projects. Facility management discussions should happen. Facility management rating is more important than the green rating. Green rating is a luxury, but if the life is only not there, then how will you further sustain? Which are the facility managers they license? Like fire people are licensed, site supervisors are licensed, plumbers are licensed. So why not license facility managers? And facility managers, their profile, their work, their repute should be rated, and accordingly they should be given. And so that, because this is a matter of human life safety and safety of the property, which should not be taken lightly, especially when we are going so high.
I would just like to know a small glimpse about you as a person. I have done a lot of research, and also we share common friends who spoke to me that you have done a world record. What is that world record all about?
So there are two world records that I hold. One is for maximum academic degrees from a single university. So
Oh,
I've done my BMS from Narsi Munji. I did my MBA in finance from Jamnalal Bajaj, JBIMS. Then I did my PhD in management from Sydenham. I did my LLB from Government Law College. Then I did my LLM from Mumbai University, Department of Law. And then I did my PhD from Mumbai University, Department of Law again.
so you are a double PhD holder.
Double PhD, double postgraduate, and a double graduate. So 6 academic degrees, and that was the world record. So I'm sure there are people who have more academic degrees, but probably not from the same university. So all 6 of them are from Mumbai University. So that was one world record which I had applied for and got honored. The second was for maximum books on a particular sector by an author. So I've authored 22 books, and all
22 books.
22 books, and all 22 are on the real estate sector. In fact, the most recent one, which was launched on the 1st of January, was RERA Simplified. So it is a book for layman to understand RERA. So it covers. So in fact, now there are 2 books on RERA that I've done: RERA Simplified and ERA Post
So I
RERA.
think we should have 22 podcasts with you, sir.
So my idea always is, real estate is, as you rightly said, full of so many topics. And my readers often give me a topic. So I am very active on social media, WhatsApp or LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. And I always reach out to my readers that what is it that you want to read. And these books are part of my not-for-profit, initiative. So these are purely to spread knowledge to laymen who want to read some credible, non-biased, no agenda-driven literature on real estate.
So it is not a funded literature.
No, 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 not at all. So it is purely a not-for-profit venture, and I do this. This is my idea of CSR. They say if you give someone $1, you are feeding him for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, you have fed him for the life. So idea is if you give the skill or the knowledge, that will stay with him longer than if you do monetary donation, which would exhaust at one point. So the idea is, there's no better share than knowledge, and when you share, you learn more. So when I do research for the books that I write, it is an eye opener to me.
But what made you motivated to write so much books?
So I'll tell you, it's a very interesting story. After I completed my PhD, and which was on REITs, which we had discussed in the earlier talk. That was a new topic in India, and it was the first thesis on REITs in India also, because the topic itself was fresh. So there were a lot of seasoned real estate investors and professionals. I'm not even talking layman, who were interested to know about this. So I did almost more than 20 talks with audience of more than 100 to 500, where we discuss the concept of REITs, the global scenario, and how REITs can make an impact. And then there was a lot of requests for these presentations, and some people went on to say, why don't you write a research paper or a note? And I had also freshly completed my thesis. So a lot of people said that we want to read your PhD thesis. So many times the research scholars will hide their thesis. They don't want to share their thesis. I actually published it. So you can read my entire PhD thesis on REITs on Amazon. So it's called India's first PhD thesis on REITs. Now, once people read that, people said we can't understand, because obviously this was more technical, given that it was a PhD submission. So then they said, write something simple. So I created a second book, which is called as REITs and Fractional Ownership, which was written only from a layman perspective. So you know what your SM REITs are? They are nothing but fractional ownership which were unregulated.
Oh,
So I wrote a book called REITs and Fractional Ownership, which has my face as the cover page, and that was one of my initial first book, which I had published. You would be surprised that became a national bestseller. It was number one on real estate. We sold 5,000 copies, and this was pure word of mouth. So it became quite a viral thing, and people bought it.
amazing.
And then once that happened, and with that, you can say chaska lag gaya. So that really motivated me to create more titles. um, Unfortunately or fortunately, the pandemic happened, and which gave me the focus time to create literature. So I think a dozen books got created during the pandemic, because I was at the farms. There was nothing really much to do except for a swim, rest, good meal, and play cricket. In the evenings. So rest of the time, I utilized to sit by the poolside, a perfect Shakespearean sitting, and used to write.
It's really
The
motivating.
books.
And
So that was
I'm
the
just
whole
imagining
idea.
how you might be sitting next to your pool
Oh, that
and
was fun. I will show you the spot, and it's so beautiful. It's like, the script writers go abroad to be inspired and write a script. So I think something similar
that's all.
happened. I was in the midst of the best real estate, which is nature. So there's no better real estate than nature.
But how much time you invest and how your family,
So
how you are
I'll tell
taking care of
you,
your family?
honestly, writing a book is very simple. One can do it in a month. If focus, one can do it in 3 months. An average book is 20,000 words to 30,000 words. A 6 by 9 print would make it 200 to 250 pages. If one focuses, one can do a book in 90 days. How? And I had done a TEDx talk on how to write a national bestseller in 90 days. So I'll give you a synopsis. The idea is that you should first identify which are your chapters and what is the flow of your chapters, and write 5 lines about what you want to cover in each chapter. Trust me, that will take you 1 month for you to decide that what are your chapters, what is the flow of that content, and writing 5 lines or 10 lines about each chapter, what you will cover in that. Once you have done that, that to me is 70% of the work,
Okay.
because then you have the framework which is ready. Now 30% work is elaborating on each
What is
chapter.
written?
And once you do that, your book is ready. The problem or the mistake people do is they write the first chapter, and then they keep going back. Then they write the second, they go back to the first and the second, and the book takes more than an eternity to complete. So the key over here is, and this is what we were taught during doing our PhD thesis, because PhD is creating like some 2,000 pages of literature. So when you're doing PhD, you're taught how to create content. So idea is, first you fix up your book synopsis, your flow of content, your sequencing of chapters, and that is the secret to creating content or literature. And then you research, of course. You can have a research team who can help you do the research, but primarily you need to decide what has to be the flow. After that, You can go through all the research that is available, add your experience, add your intent, and then the book is ready. So I think if you do that, you would be surprised. It won't take you more than a quarter to write a book. And now I'm coming up with a very interesting book, which I believe is kind of a game changer. I'm creating a real estate dictionary, a book which covers all the jargons used in real estate, whether it's architectural, whether it's civil, whether it's financial, whether it's marketing, whether it's sale, whether it's HR, whether it's operations, whether it's technology. A dictionary of real estate words.
Amazing.
And that is gonna hopefully launch by March. It's gonna be like you have the English word dictionary. This is going to be a real estate dictionary, and that is I'm extremely excited about that.
I'm really glad and I'm really honored to have a guest like you on my show who's not going to make me sleep for next eternity. I'm telling you. काम हो नहीं हो, मैं कोई भी टॉपिक पे आपके साथ बात कर सकता हूँ.
100%.
I'll be बात कर सकता हूँ, मतलब आपसे बात सीखने के लिए बात कर सकता हूँ, सवाल पूछ सकता
I
हूँ.
always love exchange of thoughts, and I believe when you exchange thoughts is when it adds. 1 plus 1 happens 11 only when you exchange thoughts.
Exchange thoughts.
Otherwise, you'll just grow linear.
Do you think one should join politics? The youth should join politics?
100%. I think if you look at the best country in the world, if you look at the most powerful economy, the most powerful country, who is the president of that country? He's a real estate developer. He's a tycoon. He's a businessman. Donald Trump is a developer. He's an industrialist. He's a businessman. Imagine if Ratan Tata was made the Prime Minister of India, if Mukesh Ambani was the Prime Minister of India. Now, who would go to Mukesh Ambani with a proposal that I'm making a substandard road, but I will give you some percentage of that? That's never going to happen. So, you will need entrepreneurs. Elon Musk, the world's richest person by a margin, because he did not get married, so he didn't get divorced, so he didn't lose half his wealth. So he is being made head of a department called DOGE, which is Department of Government Efficiency. So even in the most powerful country, the most powerful GDP, you have a requirement for Department of Government Efficiency. Where are we on the list? And who is heading that? The world's richest person is going to be in charge of that department called Dodge, and he's mandated that in the next 3 years I will dissolve this department. So it is not there for permanency.
Only for a temporary.
Only 3 years. He said the job is to clean up the system, bring efficiency, productivity amongst the bureaucrats or the babus as you call them, and he is going to be out. He's not there to be called a cabinet minister, have some security,
some VIP
treatment, not for that, to clean up. And if the world's most progressive economy is thinking like that, if the elected president, and it was a tough call, is a developer or a businessman or an industrialist, other nations could very well have that. And why not? If you have an entrepreneur becoming the prime minister of the country, first you will go with only progressive ideas, and he will also want to implement it. We saw that a great president was APJ Abdul Kalam. So we saw the changes, even with the very limited powers that the president has, how big an impact that the president could leave, that office could leave. I mean, before that, we knew, okay, there is a post, but what do? But you had an academician, you had a scientist who became the president of India, and that post suddenly came into limelight.
Yes.
That how many things could be done. So if you have an entrepreneur, if you have a youth, if you have a scientist, if you have an academician who is made the head of the state, I am very sure. And look at some of the most successful chief ministers or prime ministers. They have a business mind. They might not be a businessman, but they have a business mind. So you need an entrepreneurial person
to enter into politics.
Or you will need a head of the state to be entrepreneurial. A road minister is so entrepreneurial, and which is why he can execute these projects using public money, but using it so wisely, so well. So you will need administrators who are entrepreneurial, and I think that skill is required in politics much more than ever. When you have such a large population to deal with, you will need entrepreneurship to drive that particular country.
So the entrepreneur turn politicians or politicians turn entrepreneurs should be a mixed bag of today's
Absolutely. And that
country.
is the right way forward, because an entrepreneur has a risk taking ability. A politician has to take the risk to take the nation forward.
And the youth which we are talking about, the Gen Zs, the new trends which
The
we term them, the
millennials,
millennials and all, do you think they should enter into politics?
100%. Politicians today have the ability to shape the fortune of the nation. They control the destiny of 140 crore individuals. You will need the youth to represent. If the average age of the country is 25, what is a 75-year-old doing running that country? You will need someone who is advising the 75-year-old to be in at least a 40-year-old. You cannot have a young nation being run by a senile person. So you will need the young energy to be there. We are a young country. Look at our average age. So to respond to the aspirations of the youth, you will need the youth to be there. You cannot expect a 60-year-old to know what a youth does. Some individuals always remain 25. So we are blessed that we have a prime minister who is 25, but that will never always be the case. So you will need someone at least at the second level, at the cabinet level, with an average age of 40, 45, 50 tops. If the person is above 50, representing a 25-year-old
Country.
average population.
Dr. Saab, I have one very exciting question for you, and which is also very much related to, very close to my heart. What is the future of facility management, according to you?
So future of facility management is 400%, and I'll explain to you how and why. We are at an FAR or FSI of 4 today. If you look at Singapore, if you look at Chicago, they are at an FAR of 18 and 21.
Oh.
So which means we are 6 times behind them to 7 times behind them. What happens when FAR increases? Your high rises increases. So earlier we were at a 32 meter, 45 meter building. Then we started going up to 70 meters. Nowadays 120 meter is the new 70 meter. Buildings of 200 meters are now getting common. There are at least more than 30 high rise buildings above 150 meter which are already under construction, and there will be double the numbers which will come up immediately in the next 1 year. So what happens when you make such high-rise buildings, which are otherwise common in the West? Four changes. First and foremost, your fire system needs a big change, because you can't go manually and retrieve. You will need sophisticated technology, sprinkler systems. You will need fire breaker tanks. So recently, the fire department released a circular. There needs to be break tanks in a building which is higher than 90 meters of 1 lakh cubic liters. After, on every 7th floor, if a building is more than 90 meters tall. So those buildings are called as special projects, and they need to have these special fire break tanks, which means that the RCC will have to be 1.5 times more, because you will have to have weight of all these fire break tanks. Now what happens, second big change is you will need lifts which are high technology, high speed, large elevators which can go at 120 meters in a few seconds. So that will be a big upgrade and a big cost as well. The third and most important part which will happen is MEP. So mechanical, electrical, plumbing for a high rise is going to be phenomenally different, because the wind pressure is different, the category of the building is different. So when these three changes, which is your fire system, your MEP system, and your lifts, what happens? Your maintenance shoots. And let me give you some number. If in a 70-meter building you can do with a maintenance of 10 rupees per square foot on an independent building, the maintenance of a high-rise building is minimum 40 rupees, which means 400% growth in the facility management aspects. That is purely because this kind of sophisticated fire equipments, sophisticated lifts, sophisticated MEP will require that kind of maintenance as well. And if not maintained, it could be a huge disaster for the project. So facility management is going to have a massive role to a point. We have already seen a trailer. In southern India, when you have large scale projects like what Prestige does, Embassy does, they already have their own facility management companies.
Companies.
Now they can afford that because that is the scale at which they are, and they built in the agreement that they themselves will do the facility management. Developers over here who are doing single high rise will need experienced facility management companies. You won't need a company which has fly by night operation, which is giving you a cheaper contract. That will be disaster for the entire building. And remember, your name is on that building. So people are not going to remember how the society managed it. So you will, as a developer, have to put in a clause that if in RERA for 10 years you are responsible for the building quality, for the building uptake, the society will also have to have a particular facility management company or the equivalent for the next 10 years. Otherwise, as a developer, your name is on the line. Plus, you will give best of the infrastructure. But if not managed well, then that infrastructure is of no use. So I think facility management is going to be a large play in these buildings, especially the high rise. And high rise future has only started. We will see India to be the high rise capital of Asia very soon, the way things are progressing in real estate.
Because we are seeing the development of the properties going taller, taller, taller,
Exactly.
taller. Now in Mulund, I am seeing a property coming up with some 75,
You will be amazed.
54 or 75
There
floors.
was a tower in Tardev which was announced a year and a half back to be India's tallest tower. It has not even completed 2 years, and a second tower has come which has broken that record already and is claiming to be higher than that and wanted to ideally go up to 400 meters. But the civil aviation has said that please do not go more than 306 meters. So the second largest tower has come within 1.5 years. And I'm sure there are so many more waiting to break that record of a taller building. So it's a very common sight now in Bombay. If you take the Bandra Valley ceiling and you observe the skyline, it has completely
Change,
transformed.
change, change.
If you look the helicopter view of Mumbai, the high rises have transformed. And what is going to be the biggest game changer in these high rise? 4 times the facility management cost. 4 times the requirement of you maintaining that particular building. A building which is low rise does not require so much facility management. So 4 times the manpower, 4 times the sophistication, 4 times the technology, and you will need an experienced hand for that. A hand which has worked at least for 2 decades into that particular business to be able to cater to that kind of requirement. And if you are cutting corners in facility management, you are going to be pound foolish and pennywise.
So every developer or every construction house should have a sophisticated and an intelligent partner as a facility manager.
In fact, I would go to a point when you are designing your project. At that stage itself, have a interaction with the facility manager that
Oh.
I am going to come with this kind of a project. What is your requirements to be able to give good facility management service for this building?
So right from cleaning, hygiene,
Exactly.
sanitation, plumbing,
Exactly. So what
drainage
kind of
system.
areas do you need? These are my drainage pipes. This is my layout. This is my MEP. So the facility management discussion should start at the planning stage itself, and especially if you're doing a high-rise building.
So looking from the sustainability point of view, the water reservation, restoration, the green building, which we call.
Exactly. And more so, I say this is a safety requirement. This is a basic requirement. This is not luxury anymore. So if you want to stay in a high-rise building, facility management is the most important aspect in your day-to-day life. Because as a society, your committee is not going to be able to do regular safety checks, whether the fire equipment machines are working or not, whether the nozzle has enough water pressure to be able to firefight, whether the sprinkler systems are working or not, whether the lifts are in good condition or not. You will need a seasoned facility management to take care. And remember, your asset worth 50 crores will lose its value if the asset is not well maintained. But that asset of 50 crores would go to a 70 crore value
if it is maintained properly.
Facility management is done perfect. So I would say facility management is an investment that you would be making into your particular asset, which is worth crores, an asset, an investment of few lakhs to preserve and increase the valuation of that asset.
That's so great insight, because facility management has never been given that kind of the due or that respect, because we always talk about the marginal service charges and
and I'll tell you the reason is, look at the buying behavior, right? A car which we buy, how many people go to the authorized service center of that particular car? People go to garages. So if people don't manage their cars that well, which they use every day, they of course have that same habit carried forward to residents. But it's a big word of caution that will not work if you are in a high-rise building. Because if it's a 7-story building, you can probably climb your stairs if the lifts are not working. How will you climb a 40-story building stairs? That is not practical at all. So this is going to hit you. It has already hit all the high-rise projects. Facility management discussions should happen.
But at the planning don't you think this has also, as a government or the corporation chief, should have that initiative of getting all the facility tycoons or the industry experts together and have a realistic
In fact, I would say more than
bonding.
Green rating, facility management rating is more important than the green rating. Green rating is a luxury, but if the life is only not there, then how will you further sustain? So I strongly believe that whether it is RERA or government authorities, they should have a built-in clause that for which are the facility managers they license, like fire people are licensed, site supervisors are licensed, plumbers are licensed. So why not license facility managers? And facility managers, their profile, their work, their repute should be rated, and accordingly they should be given. Till we were doing a 5-story, 7-story, 10-story,
it was okay.
Did not matter.
Because now the sophistication of the lights, the sophistication of the lifts, the sophistication of the
you can't expect the chairman, secretary, and managing committee to look after these affairs, which is how usually you do all these buildings do. So you will need that special skill set to maintain your asset, to ensure you are safe, to ensure that the assets work well, and to ensure the assets are managed well.
Very deep insight about the industry, because I've been living in this industry since last 25 years now. Thank you.